Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about guessing meaning from context. This is a way to deal with unknown vocabulary. You will encounter words that you don't know on the IELTS. 100% positively, you will not know some of the words. So what do we do when we find a word that we don't know? You should try to understand the meaning of the unknown word from the context. So context just means the other words around that word that you don't know. So here's an example. I was late for school because I missed the plecture. Plecture? What on earth is a plecture? Well, actually, that's a word that I just made up. But we can make a guess. I was late for school because I missed why would we be late if we miss something? Oh, that's probably a bus or possibly a train. But it must be some kind of transportation, right? So I can get a pretty good idea of what this crazy word means, even if I've never seen it before. I can understand it from the context. I was late for school. I missed the bus or the train. Plecture means something to take me to school. So that is an example of a context clue. We just saw a general context or inference. You will also see restatements or synonyms, definitions or explanations, examples, a contrast, and we can get some hints from punctuation also. So here's another example of just a general context or inference kind of context clue. So if we read a sentence here, the monkey's vociferous chatter hurt our ears. Well, I don't know what that word vociferous means, but if something hurts my ears, it's probably something loud, right? So I can get a basic meaning of what that word means. Or in our second example, John went to a haberdashery to buy a new suit for his brother's wedding. Haberdashery? That's a crazy word. I never heard of that. But he bought a suit there. Oh, this must be a kind of store that sells men's suits. Here's another kind of context clue. A restatement or a synonym is often given after a word that many people don't know. And you'll see this a lot in your IELTS reading sections. We might see a sentence like this. Carnivores, that is meat eaters, are at the top of the food chain. So right after this word that we don't know, they actually used a simpler phrase that means the same thing. So a carnivore is a meat eater, an animal that eats meat. Or here, the goslings. In this case, they put a synonym or a restatement in parentheses right behind that word. Goslings are baby geese. Okay, so the goslings followed close behind their mother. I've got it. That's the baby geese. I've never seen that word before, but the writer helped me out with a little hint. Sometimes there's a definition or an explanation. So we might see a sentence that actually tells us, entomology is the study of insects. This actually it tells us the meaning right here. There's the definition of that word. Or here, thousands of years ago, the Great Lakes were formed by enormous glaciers or slow-moving rivers of ice. So they gave me an explanation, a definition right after it. A glacier is a slow-moving river of ice. Sometimes you'll see an example in a sentence that will give you a clue. Celestial bodies, including the sun, moon, and stars, have fascinated people since ancient times. Well, I've seen that word bodies, but celestial bodies? What is that? Oh, sun, moon, and stars. Oh, so it must be things up in the sky. So those are celestial bodies. Scientists are working to postpone age-related disorders. And we've got some parentheses there that give us some examples, such as diabetes, arteriosclerosis, heart disease, and cancer, until very late in life. So when I first look at this, age-related disorders, I have a little bit of an idea what that is, but with the examples, I have a better idea. Oh, so we're talking about some diseases and some problems that people get when they are old. What about this word? Arteriosclerosis. I don't know what that one is either. But in the middle of this list, diabetes, arteriosclerosis, heart disease, and cancer, now I understand, okay, this is some kind of disease. I don't need to know exactly. It's probably not the main point of the article, but I don't have to worry about that. I have just a basic idea. Many times that's enough. There are some contrast clues that use contrast. So for example here, when the light brightens, the pupils of the eyes get smaller, but when it darkens, they dilate. So in this one sentence, I see two things happening. When it's bright, they get smaller. When it darkens, I can guess that it's the opposite, right? So dilate means they become bigger. And here, Mike is a voracious eater while his sister eats very little. Well, maybe we've never seen that word before, but we can see while his sister eats very little is a hint that this is the opposite. So a voracious eater, someone who eats a lot. Finally, punctuation can give us some hints too. These are some examples that we saw before, but I've highlighted the punctuation. A lot of times these synonyms or explanations or an example, often they're set aside with commas on either side, one at the beginning and one at the end. Sometimes we use parentheses. Occasionally we'll use a dash, just a short line there. If our definition is the end of a sentence, there may be only one comma, and then the period that ends it. But these kinds of punctuation can help us locate where that explanation or where the definition or the synonym is. All right, so the next time you find a word that you don't know in your practice, look at those context clues. Try to guess it before you get out the dictionary. There's a lot of times when you can get a basic idea of the word without looking it up. Remember, on the IELTS, you can't use your dictionary, so you'll have to do this. Practice this skill. Go to the content area and try our exercises, and good luck.